Greetings, fellow holiday amphibians! Tiki here,
And BlueDragonFive.
and welcome to another exciting and extraordinary episode of Muppet Movie Month! Yay! Alright, and BlueDragonFive, it's a rather somber occasion tonight because we will be talking about, fortunately, the first film, kind of a little bit of a passing of the torch. This was the first film that was directed and produced after Jim Henson passed away, directed by his son, Brian Henson.
Yep, kind of a Superman returns, a Superman style, the son becomes a father, father becomes a son.
Right. So we are talking, of course, about the classic Christmas movie, A Muppet Christmas Carol, starring Michael Caine. Michael Caine.
Yeah.
No, in all seriousness, though, this is a really good one. So let's roll the film and get moving right along.
Moving right along,
Master Bruce. All right.
The size of a tangerine.
I'm done picking on Michael Caine. I'm sorry.
Very good, then.
All right.
Okay.
So BlueDragonFive. In order to get started, we have to know what the story is, and my God, doing Christmas in July, we've tackled this story a lot, so I think we can keep it pretty brief. But
yeah, I think I got
it. At any rate, to the screenplay.
This one's pretty simple. It's a Christmas Carol with the Muppets narrated by Charles Dickens and Rizzo the Rat. That's it in a nutshell, really.
That's it. That's all we got. Pretty much.
It's the Christmas Carol narrated by Charles Dickens and Rizzo the Rat. That's it. And Michael Caine's in it. Okay, that's it. Doesn't mean it's bad. I'm saying that's it.
All right, so I guess that's a good transitioning point since it's a pretty simplistic plot. So, how we felt? Get it? Because they're Muppets and they're made of felt.
Yeah.
All right, how did you feel about A Muppet Christmas Carol?
This movie, it is so impressive. It's very impressive. It's one of the greatest, if not definitive, Christmas Carol adaptations in my book. It's up there, if not the Christmas Carol adaptation. It's fun, it's informative, it has the history of the thing in its bones, but also has an edge that kids and adults can kind of get into. With kind of the edge is not lost in the story, but it softens slightly, but in a good way.
Okay.
It took its time in places, and it really works.
It did, yeah. This is the movie that I kind of feel least feels like a proper Muppet movie, just in terms of like, hey, fourth wall breaking and cameos and all the stuff that they list off, and we're making a sequel and all that. But I feel like this movie might be the strongest Muppet movie ever in terms of just the sheer acting and the sheer presentation and filmmaking quality of it. And that kind of transitions me into how I felt about it, because as a little kid, I've kind of been likening these movies to sort of like various stages of me transitioning into like a true lover of cinema in a way. And so with that in mind, we have to keep in mind, I felt about the Muppet movie, I just remember I had fond memories of the fork in the road, and that was my first Muppet gag. And so then we get to the Muppets Take Manhattan, and I'm like, I'm really attached to the absurdist comedy that comes from the idea of Fozzie and Kermit being twins, and I'm really into that. We have the Muppets Take Manhattan, which gets a lot of sentimentality into the mix, and a lot of emotion. Not that the Muppets didn't have an emotion before, but I think the Muppets Take Manhattan, no pun intended, literally put the emotion center stage in that movie. Now we get to Christmas Carol. Christmas Carol, like I said, this is the movie where me as a kid, I started to notice atmosphere. Because my God, this movie is thick with it. I mean, all the fog, all the shadows, all the ways that they frame Michael Caine. Michael Caine's performance itself, I mean, I'm not going to go as far as to say it's the definitive Christmas Carol, but I will go as far to say that Michael Caine might be the definitive Scrooge. if that makes any sort of sense.
There are a lot of great Scrooges in history to choose from, you know.
There's a lot of great Scrooges, but Michael Caine definitely stands out. He definitely is the one I think of, but I'm just saying the Muppets take on the Christmas Carol. I mean, you're absolutely right. There is a lot of elements of the original novel in there. I just feel like other adaptations probably captured the darker themes of the novel probably more accurately.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Real quick, I kind of glazed over this. I forgot about it, but you know, my introduction to the thing. You know, it's kind of strange. It took me a time to see this one all the way through. Really, I got into this really late actually, because I saw the other Muppet Christmas special. That was my
No.
Yeah, it's not bad. That was the one I've seen more often than this one. I mean, this one I've seen clips of. And I heard about it. I never really had a chance to watch it all the way through until like not recently, but you know, a year. Within like a 5 years window or something, you know.
It's definitely a slow burn of a movie, which is out of character for the Muppets. Like, we kind of discussed how the Muppets, like the original trio of Muppet movies leading up to this one, they just got faster and faster paced as it went along. You know, it's like, well, the Muppet movie was like a road movie, and it had a lot of visual gags to it, but it also had a bit of a relaxed pace at certain times. You know, they make a lot of stopovers. Then Takes Manhattan, you know, you get to Takes Manhattan. Of course, Muppet Caper kind of stepped it up with the fourth wall stuff and everything. And then you get to Takes Manhattan, and I feel like that movie just goes through a lot of plot stuff really quick. Like, as we were saying, they get to saying goodbye in like 20 minutes.
Yeah.
So, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Let me clarify. I mean, it's not that I had, when I say I watch bits and pieces, it's not because I lost interest. I mean, I had a chance to watch it all the way through. I really loved what I saw. I mean, it just, you know, like throughout childhood, it's like I've heard about things, definitely seen like previews and stuff, like on that Muppet Fairy Tales VHS tape. I mean, I've seen bits and pieces.
I know exactly what you're talking about. Oh yeah.
No, I mean, good. It was good stuff. It's never really had in my possession until like recently, and watched it all the way through. And I really liked it. I just want to make that point clear because I think it's really good.
Okay. Well, I did grow up with it, and like I said, it was kind of the slow burn of the movie for me, but it was definitely one of those movies where, like, as a little kid, okay, you know the thing that Doug Walker's always talking about now about Mary Poppins and how, like, walking, you know, Mr. Banks walking to the bank to get fired is, like, as a child, he comprehended that as, like, he knew it was big and he knew it meant something, but he didn't understand what yet. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
That is kind of what I got out of this movie as a kid. This was kind of that movie for me. Like, especially in just the way that they shot Michael Caine and his performance and just all the gravitas behind everything. I definitely got the feeling like, man, this is you know, like, I'm latching on to the jokes and the Muppets and everything, of course, because I'm a kid and that's what they're there for. But man, the way that and we'll talk about, you know, you definitely have a favorite scene coming up that we'll talk about that heavily uses that kind of stuff. But this really was, in terms of the Muppet movies, this really was the one that really used traditional, like, Gothic sort of expressionistic angles and stuff like that. And I don't know, it really looks incredible just in the way that, you know, just in the cinematography and the way that they shoot Scrooge.
I think it's fair to say it's probably the most artfully shot of all the Muppet movies.
I definitely say so.
I'm going to go out on a limb here. I'm going to say at this juncture with all the films, I think this is probably the best. It's either, I want to say best shot, but I'm wagering to say best directed. I'm not sure about directing, but I know best shot.
Not sure about directed. I would definitely say best cinematography.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, best cinematography. I'm just trying to think. I don't know. I think the directing's good on this, but I mean, there are a lot of other great directed.
I think you can't deny that Caper probably.
Yeah, that's the thing, because you know how much I love Caper, so I can't really make that call.
And I love it too. You know, I've watched it several times since we did the podcast about it. I mean, I keep coming back to it. It's fantastic.
It's kind of interesting. You know, you had Henson, you have Oz, and then you got other Henson.
Right. Oh God. Okay.
Okay. Well, I guess just the overall kind of felt. You know, it's just watching it. It's great, and it really puts you in. Even if it's not Christmas, it puts you in a good mood and just some holidays.
Yeah, but I'm burned out on Christmas, so this was a chore. I'm sorry. I just gotta say it. Like, doing the research on it. I mean, don't get me wrong. I love this movie and I love Michael Caine, but I am just burned out with A Christmas Carol. I could just recite it in my sleep.
I don't know. I'll tell you this. I think I thought it really got me through a movie after all that potential holiday burnout. Really, it was, I gotta tell you, I think I might go on the limb here. I think this has the best score of all the Muppet movies. I don't know. The score is fantastic in this movie. I'm not saying the songs, but I'm saying the score, like the background.
I mean, yeah,
the orchestration's really nice in this movie.
I would say it's tough to go against the original Muppet movie in terms of orchestration, but for what it is definitely one of the most catchy and one of the most memorable Christmas scores that I've heard. I want to say,
actually, the more I think about it, I don't know, Caper might have done this first, but I want to say this is like the first one that kind of wove the kind of the main songs into the theme, and that kind of played throughout. I don't know. I mean, maybe Caper has a better one now I think about it, but I don't know.
I want to say that it was very subtle, but I want to say that Muppet Movie did that to a certain extent with Rainbow Connection.
Well, I don't know. There's a chance,
especially like the banjo, like the
yeah, that's the thing. I can't remember they did it with other things in that movie because I remember like there's that great bit. This bit will never leave me as long as I can remember. Let me lay this out for you real quick. So this bit will never. The minute Bernie the agent and Bernie the alligator to get off screen, Dom DeLuise's character gets off screen, and then Kermit the Frog's just kind of stewing on what he told him. This moment where he says, making millions of people happy, and as they hear that, dun dun, you just hear that banjo.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah.
So maybe that's more of a cue rather than a score, though. That's what I'm saying. It's more like a great cue within it. I don't know. The point is, I'm saying the orchestration is great in this movie. That's what. Of course.
All right, so. That in mind, let's move on to charisma of character. Yeah, where we talk about the main Muppet stars. And okay, we've talked about this before. I guess we'll talk about it again. I'd say this is probably like, it's not necessarily a flaw of the movie per se. It's just maybe kind of the challenge of doing a Muppet Christmas Carol to begin with.
Yeah, remember, folks, this is like their first adaptation, really.
Of course,
especially on the big screen.
I just think, like, inherently, there's just, I mean, we see very little Fozzie. We see very little, like, Kermit, he's got a few really good scenes, but in general, he's definitely more of a supporting character.
Yeah.
I don't know. It just, Miss Piggy only has one or two scenes, really.
I'll tell you what I think it is, though. I mean, compared to the next one we're going to talk about, I think the sparing moments they have in this movie are much more distinct than they are in that movie.
You know what? I actually feel the exact opposite way, and I think Treasure Island handled the characters a lot better, but that'll be
you and I are going to have differing opinions on Treasure Island, but we'll get to that.
That'll be really fun, because I actually love Treasure Island.
I have very different opinions. But
I really appreciated Treasure Island when I rewatched it.
Right, well, anyway, so point is,
how can you say no to the Tim Curry?
Hey, no, I'm not knocking Curry.
I know you're not. I know.
However, if I'm putting Kane up against Curry, I think I'm gonna have to go with Kane. I don't know.
Yeah, I'd have to go with Kane too, but I think Curry's probably a close second.
Well, of course he's a close second. They're all again. But my point is, I don't know. I think my opinion, I think the characters, their bits are kind of really nicely woven into the overall story with how distinct the bits are in this story. Because I think they're really all tied to Scrooge's arc, and I think with the Treasure Island, they're not really tied well into the other characters of that movie. That's where it weakens for him. We'll get into that.
We'll get into it. Yeah, I'm excited to talk about Treasure Island.
Anyway, so let's go through our characters. So basically what we're going to do is talk about what we liked about them. So also get into what their actual role were they playing. So let's start with who we always start with, the frog we all love.
Bob Cratchit. I mean, you gotta love Kermit. It's like, of course.
I mean, what role is more befitting of this frog than Bob Cratchit? Come on.
Oh, it definitely fits him perfectly.
He plays a great.
I love
Bob Cratchit.
Yeah. I love the moment where where Fred, he wishes Fred a Merry Christmas as Fred walks out.
Yeah.
It's just really simple. You know what I mean? It's like, and Kermit's nodding along to Fred as he's talking about Christmas, and he's like, oh yeah, that's right. That's what it is all about.
Yeah. One of my favorite bits. I love his dynamic with Scrooge. Just the idea of these two guys. This is something interesting. We'll get to this with when we get to another segment a little more so. But I love how Kermit plays off of Kane in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
And with that, I love this idea that this is like a Scrooge dynamic I really haven't seen before. And this is kind of the reason this really sticks out to me, is maybe kind of the most definitive version, at least for me. At least the top one. One of the top ones, definitely. Is because you see a dynamic between Scrooge and Cratchit. You maybe get like a forced hint in the other adaptations of Scrooge and Cratchit. They worked together for a long time, and Cratchit says, "Oh no, sir, that wouldn't be befitting of you." And says, "Oh, you know me so well, Cratchit." It's more like
right, sure.
But here
sure.
you get a sense of like they do. It feels a lot more natural. Of like, oh yes, you sure showed him, Mr. Scrooge. Just the idea that these guys are co-workers and they know each other, and it's like there is like respect among them, but still, of course, he's gonna chew at Cratchit like there's no tomorrow. But still, it's just the idea they know each other and they kind of relate to each other a little more in this. I like that.
Yeah, and of course, Kermit has a few really incredibly heart-touching moments in this.
Now, speaking of which, let's talk about what we see different with kind of the character Kermit's portraying. It's kind of interesting. We see Kermit kind of take on different shades in each Muppet movie with all the different continuities and such.
Of course.
And with this version, we have him playing Bob Cratchit, of course, the different circumstances. And it's kind of an interesting premise when you are adapting a story. You get to put Muppets in positions they weren't in before. He's not a twin, and he's not just an aspiring amphibian trying to make people happy. He's a father in this. He's a father, and more importantly, he's an optimist in a bad situation, which Kermit kind of is. But this is probably the worst situation you put Kermit the Frog in, really.
Yeah, you're right. It definitely gets dark, and it definitely kind of like challenges Kermit in terms of his optimism. I feel like that might be like one of the main points, and we might get into that a little bit with the Henson.
Yeah, I mean, short of the other Christmas specials, really the darkest situation I've ever seen Kermit the Frog in, really.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I mean, this probably trumps the other one, but I'm saying the other one's pretty dire too. The other Christmas special.
Yeah.
Let's see. Also, yeah, I mean, he is, of course, Kermit the Frog suffering loss. You don't get that every day. It's a tragedy.
Right. Yeah, of course.
I know, of course, and there might be some not so thematic ties to the behind the scenes of the movie too, because it's a big undertaking. This movie,
Indeed.
Yeah, again, as I mentioned, I love the back and forth between him and Scrooge. You get a sense these guys know each other.
Yeah, and then we have
Mrs.
Yeah, I guess Miss Piggy. She doesn't really have, like I said, she doesn't really have much of a role here.
Yeah. That doesn't bug me though.
I think they're hypothetical children.
Yeah, I think Miss Piggy. I think she's the one who sold in this movie. She gets a lot of great stuff to do in this movie. Even though it's very sparing. We get more range out of Miss Piggy than we really have gotten since the new movies, I think.
I mean, yeah, that's a good point, at least emotionally.
Yeah, I mean, this is the most range I've really seen her in since we get more time with her in the other movies. I mean, even as much as I love the other two, really, aside from Capri, I don't get a lot into Miss Piggy, really.
Well, yeah, that's very true. I mean, I think the whole thing with Miss Piggy, I think
maybe
she had
Manhattan. I don't know about.
Yeah, she had a good arc in Manhattan. I liked her moments in Manhattan.
There's a little stalled Manhattan for me, but that's not here or there. But I see what you're saying. I mean, she had more screen. I think. What movie do you think she had the most screen time in?
What movie does she have the most screen time in?
Yeah.
Probably Caper. I'd
point.
Imagine that'd probably be my guess.
Yeah, she's kind of like the Margaret Dumont in that one, so she has to be.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, so she plays Mrs. Cratchit. My favorite thing in the whole movie from her is when she welcomes Bob Cratchit home, and she has this like adorable thing where she hugs him. It's like, oh, Cratchit, just like Cratchit. It's those things. It's the cutest thing I've ever seen her and Kermit do it. Like, oh, Cratchit. It's like, oh, Piggy.
And in a way, it kind of like. This kind of goes back to our whole thing about how the Muppets kind of tie together their movies in a character development standpoint, even though they're in different continuities. Because what we see at the end of the last movie.
Oh, I'm sorry, you're asking me?
Yes.
Well, but they got married. Oh.
And what's going on here?
Ah. Wow.
See what I'm getting at here?
Wow,
See what I'm getting at here?
I have never pieced that together. Wow.
Right?
Whoa. Huh.
Whoa. Raimundo surfboard moment.
Yeah.
Grab the coconuts.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, I mean, it really is impressive. Oh, God. And you could even... I'll get into Christmas Carol or Treasure Island.
I mean, they're kind of divorced in that one almost.
Yeah, I know, but you could almost make a case for it. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's kind of like have the one. It's like, oh my god, it's like the Archie comes. You have like the alternate what if the stories. You know, it's
exactly.
Like if it happened, you have this movie, and again, it works even better.
Or what if hypothetically, like Cratchit gets more devoted to his time now that he's got a better job and he starts spending less and less time at home. It's like we don't know what went on between movies.
It's really funny when you think about it. The next 3 Muppet movies. Think about it. Okay, so if you think of it like the guys behind the Muppets, they're trying kind of an Archie dynamic of, okay, we're going to test this out. What if he married Betty? What if he married Veronica? So in this case, what if he did get married? You have, first of all, you have these 2 experimental kind of out of continuity films, technically.
Right.
So they do get married. Next one, they get close to getting married, but they don't. Mm-hmm. And the one afterwards, they're just living together.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
The one where they're just living together would be Muppets from Space, right?
Certainly.
Okay, cool. Yeah. Oh, can I bring something up about Muppets from Space really quick while we're at it? I feel like I've been a little unfairly harsh on it.
Yeah, you have. Yeah.
Beans as though that I've not actually seen the movie since I've been like a kid, like a 10-year-old.
It's not perfect, but it has redeemable factors.
I'm interested to see it. I mean, there's definitely certain things about it that I remember even as a kid got under my skin. Mostly the fact that there's no real songs, and I mean, we'll talk about it ad nauseum, but the whole thing that they did with Gonzo.
Yeah, you and I are probably going to have it out on that one, the next 2, you and I are going to have it out in the next 2.
Oh, God. I mean, I think like, once we get into the last 2, like the Muppets and the Muppets Most Wanted, like those are pretty easily agreeable.
Yeah,
it's just going over the awesome stuff from that. But the 90s movies, especially Treasure Island and Muppets from Space, oh God.
The Muppets Kevin Smith period.
Oh dear. Okay, anyways.
How many, Piggy? Okay.
So should we move on to Gonzo and Rizzo?
Well, no, real quick, we got to finish up on Piggy. We just talked about her in other movies. She plays Emily Cratchit in this. And, when you think about it, kind of with the Archie thing we're going to land there, it's like Piggy's dream. We get to see a side Piggy. Her dreams have come true. She gets, and she's happy she's happy. She gets her happy ending,
Mm-hmm, exactly.
And we get to see Piggy again. She gets to play some legit drama in this movie. You never see like a truly dramatic side of Piggy. It's always her playing up the drama, but this is actual drama she's in, and she does it really well. Like she has a really great dramatic scene in this movie. I guess
she does. Yeah, it's the first time that you really feel for her. I mean, with the Muppets, like our hearts have gone out to various Muppets in the past. Of course, Fozzie with the teddy bear on the train, that always gets to me.
Well, want to talk about it a little?
What?
I mean, like the dramatic scene. We're not burying a lead, man. We don't have any time to talk about all the moments. Just we have a moment. So what do you think?
Yeah, go ahead, really quick.
So we got there's that great moment where, of course, spoiler: Tiny Tim, for a moment in the story, buys it.
Mm-hmm.
Clean. He buys it. He doesn't buy a new toy. He buys the farm.
Yes.
Anyway, so it was a sad scene, very somber, very emotionally brilliant scene. And the way it plays between, again, they got to bear in mind, I don't mean to shatter the illusion here, but they're not real people here. But the emotions in this scene are astounding. How they're conveyed by these puppets, these Muppets, and they're amazing. It's just this. Kermit the Frog, as if and again, the way they're playing up here, he lost his son, and he's talking about him burying his own son.
And the great thing about it, just in terms of the story structure, is how we get to see how close Kermit and Tiny Tim were.
Yeah, of course, and we know if that's a little more connection. We don't really have anything to say on might as well bring up now. Robin plays Tiny Tim.
Right, of course.
It's not a lot, just the God blesses everyone. We like Robin, sweet little innocent Robin.
I think Robin's the perfect person for Tiny Tim. Of course, I mean you couldn't get better casting in that regard.
Of course, it's Robin, and plus he and Kermit, they got a good nephew uncle thing going on, so they have a good relationship, and then factoring that in what you know about cute little Robin as Tiny Tim. It's really sad. And the moment that really gets me is this when Miss Piggy, Cratchit, you get this. The Kermit the Frog's always looking to the optimistic side, trying to look basically Kermit the Frog at his lowest point in the film. He's just buried his. He literally has just buried his son.
Oh man, that is really dark. This is a Muppet movie. Folks.
I know, and he's coming, and he comes back into the house. And he's just reassuring, and like the kids aren't like all happy go lucky. He's saying, "Oh, hi, Daddy."
Mm-hmm.
And they're going away, and just he says.
And of course, on top of that, you've got Michael Caine reaction to the whole.
Oh
thing.
Mike, don't bring Caine into this. I'm gonna need the inside out tissues and bring Caine. We'll save Caine for when we get to Caine. Just a little.
Sure, of course.
Point is, the scene is so beautiful. It's Kermit the Frog. He's just he's trying to keep it all together, and he does a great job of it. But he's saying, he's like he's on the hill, or it's nice and green like he would want, and he can't finish saying about talking about the ducks. And here's the bit: Miss Piggy, she just interjects when she can tell, she can read. It's not expressing dialogue. The way the performance goes, it's amazing. She just kind of interrupts him because he's kind of stumbling, just saying, yeah, he like to see the. And she's, yes, Tiny Tim like the duck. You hear the catch in her throat as she's saying that. As she's just finishing his sentence for me, Tiny Tim like the duck. Yeah. Whenever she says that is heartbreakingly accurate and beautiful. It really is. That's that's such the emotional part of the movie. Like she's there, like Miss Piggy Kermit the Frog having children and losing one of them. That is the most tragically. That's a Pixar-uppian moment for the Muppets. That is the most depressing yet beautiful thing you've ever heard of.
All right.
I think it's a beautiful scene.
It is for sure.
It's tragic as all get out, but it's beautiful.
Okay, so now can we move on to a little lighter note?
Yeah, Fozziwig.
You don't want to. Okay, Fozziwig.
Oh,
sure,
I'm sorry. Was there someone else?
I was going to go to Gonzo next.
Well, okay, let's go with someone who has some substance. Let's go to Gonzo.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. Because Fozziwig, it's like, oh, Fozzie shows up.
Look, we just finished Fozziwig just by saying, he plays Fozziwig, pun, and he makes some jokes. He's a nice guy. That's about it. So G's very jolly.
John Statler and Waldorf laugh at them, which is the highlight of that scene, I think.
Of course.
Yeah. Oh, look at us, Statler! We're young again! Ho, 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 ho. By the way, I love it. Moving on, like Treasure Island, I can't wait to talk about that because I love what they do with Statler.
Yeah. Okay, on the Gonzo.
All right, so Gonzo, this is definitely the most inspired Muppet-esque idea in the whole film, is the whole thing with Gonzo being the narrator, playing Charles Dickens, Rizzo just playing himself. And I will admit, one thing about Treasure Island is that there are, I think, too many characters just that are there playing themselves.
Yeah.
And it kind of becomes a mixed bag, but we'll get into that. But
they do with Gonzo in this movie is brilliant, though.
Oh, absolutely. Because like you said, it's like, even in the darkest scenes, like even in the most somber scenes, you have Gonzo. Except I love when Gonzo steps out of the movie and it's like, oh man, okay. Like now that we don't have Gonzo here, we're really in for it. You know what I mean?
Just like Gonzo and Rizzo saying, okay, this is getting scary. Well, I can't do any more of this. And then just like Rizzo saying, well,
like it really, I distinctly remember that as a kid. Like, oh God, if Gonzo and Rizzo are out, like, oh man, we're
sorry folks, this is too scary for us. We'll see you at the finale. It's like the reassurance that, hey, there's going to be a finale, so don't worry. There's going to be some sort of...
No, yeah, it was a reassurance, but it was also like, okay, what you're about to see is so messed up that the characters that we've been following just cannot deal with it.
Yeah. But still, just Gonzo, first of all, with kind of twinsian conceit of like, I'm Charles Dickens. But, no, you're not. He says, yeah, I am. Just like the absurd thing that he is, in fact, the writer Charles Dickens. And several just goes with it. Rizzo just goes with it. Sometimes you call him Gonzo, but usually calls him Dickens, Charles, Charlie. This is kind of going.
It's just really amusing the way that the two kind of weave their way through the scenes.
Oh yeah. Of course, with Gonzo, you got some great fourth wall breaking, talking directly to the audience. It always works.
Of course.
I think this movie showed that Gonzo he can take the lead now and again.
Would you consider Gonzo the lead Muppet here? I guess he is.
Well, I mean, as a Muppet,
even though he's only the narrator, but yeah, I mean, obviously Michael Caine's the main character, but in terms of like the star billing for a Muppet performer, I guess
he's the first Muppet on screen. He has the most lines. So,
Okay,
I think debatable. Yeah, he is the lead Muppet.
Okay.
So yeah,
I'd say so.
Gonzo's not a bad lead. People.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. I think I feel his role in the Muppet movie was like super emotional and understated, which you wouldn't think I would say about a character like Gonzo, but I said it.
Yeah.
So.
Anyway, so let's see. So anyway, the point of the Gonzo is really, really fun. All the narrator gags are really funny. He's still the idea he wants to be the thrill seeker he always is, but he's in the role of narrator. He says, "Oh, you get to have all the fun." As Rizzo's like reluctantly in the action
right.
Rizzo's just getting the raw end of the narrator privilege of like he's getting chased by cats. He's falling into buckets, turning into a ratsicle.
But it's just great how throughout the whole movie they're literally like involved with what's going on, but they're not at the same time.
I love the conceit that they're trying to to get some eyes on what's happening in the story, to get inside the place, and just sometimes they miss their mark of they can't phase through doors. They have to actually sneak in the rooms.
Yeah, that's really fun.
Yeah.
All right.
Rizzo comedy sidekick, that's pretty much it. He's Ed McMahon to Gonzo, pretty much.
All right.
I guess that's a talk show I'd watch, by the way.
Oh, absolutely. I'm trying to think
Ozzy, Statler and Waldorf, they get a big role in this, and it's really good. You get to be Marley and Marley.
Yes, of course.
That's a brilliant idea. Making if you're going to have Marley, let's not just make him like honey. Let's make him Bunsen Honey. Let's make him Marley and Marley. I'm not saying it was ever going to be Bunsen Honey. I'm just saying let's not make it one of the other guys. Let's not make it Scooter. I mean, don't make it Scooter. Make it the old guys.
Scooter's not in this at all, is he?
At one point he was going to be, but then they changed their minds. And I think, originally what they wanted to do, they wanted to make the three ghosts existing Muppets, but then they, I believe, if I'm right.
I'm glad they didn't go that route.
Yeah, if I'm right, and I could be wrong here, so don't quote me on it. If I'm remembering correctly, it was like Gonzo. I think Miss Piggy was going to be passed. I think Gonzo was going to be yet to come because of the nose.
Okay.
And I think Scooter might have been present. Scooter was in one of the roles.
Scooter would fit for present.
Scooter was either present or past. I'm thinking present, though.
Okay. And then of course Bunsen Honeydew and Beaker. I think they have a really good role in this.
I always
a very large role, but they have kind of a bookend role.
Yeah, I freaking love Beaker's part of this movie. It's so heartwarming and adorable. That's one of my favorite. That was my runner-up for my favorite moment. I love Beaker. It's so, and Michael. Let me say for Michael Caine. When we get to Michael Caine, I'll tell you about it.
Sure.
Okay, but actually, I think we're just about to move on to Michael Caine, aren't we?
Yeah, I think maybe there's a couple more. Hold on.
Well, Electric Mayhem.
Do you want to talk about the spirits themselves? Do you want to talk about those?
That's actually a good idea. Let's run.
Yeah, let's get into those. Okay,
they got an interesting story, and not a lot of stories.
They do.
Okay,
I think they all have very, very interesting designs.
That's what I'm saying. Let's talk about some designs and stuff.
Okay.
Let's see. We have to go to Christmas Past. Christmas Past.
Terrifying.
What?
Just terrifying. Absolutely terrifying. Gave me nightmares. It's incredibly unsettling.
Though the entrance is terrifying, the ghost is not terrifying.
No. Forget the entrance. Everything about it, just looking at it is.
You gotta admit, though, the entrance was awesome yet scary.
It is, but I'm just saying.
One of the best shots of that movie.
Hanging out.
One of the best shots that we've seen Michael Caine against that white curtain.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but, absolutely.
Actually, it was really creative. I probably told you this before, but let me tell the audience again in case they haven't watched all of Christmas in July.
We're shame audience.
Yeah. Seriously, man, where's your support? But in the movie, Ghost Christmas Past is actually done in a creative style. It was kind of maybe inspired by how they did Miss Piggy and the Great Muppet Caper a little bit. Basically, what they do is they film the Muppet in a tank of water originally. In a tank of water, and what happened was the Muppet, the shooting water looked great because that's how you get the floating effect.
That makes sense.
Now, when they did that, unfortunately, because it was water, at first time around, because it was water, the Muppet would basically it's a sponge almost after a while. It turns into a sponge after a while.
Mm-hmm.
And basically, the puppet will deteriorate, get destroyed. Which puppets do. Even Yoda, as good condition as he was kept in, he eventually degraded, and that's why we have CG Yoda. But The point is they tried it in water for a while. So some of the shots it looks better than others. Apparently, I think it looks great all around, in my opinion. But yeah, I'm sure if you look with a scrutinizing eye, you might be able to find some glitches now because they did two ways.
It's just the design to me that's just incredibly unsettling.
Well, they did two ways. So there's the one in the water which would break apart more easily, but then the other route was they would use they put it in oil. So basically, like tanning oil. It's not I don't know, not like black oil, but like tanning oil.
Right.
Basically, they put in like a tank of oil, and that's how they get the floating effect too. And basically, between the two of them, they can get them in there for a sustainable amount of time, build a bunch of Muppets, and we're talking about the design though. It's kind of making the haunting little girl from.
It's the face, man. There's something wrong with that fucking face.
I don't know. I thought it was fine.
No, I mean, I think it's effective in terms of like being intimidating and creepy.
Well, it makes sense if you're going to be a ghost
in that way.
I think it makes sense if you're going to have a ghost Christmas past to be kind of childlike, and plus it's going back.
No, it definitely makes sense. I'm just saying, like the emotionless features on that face are.
That's kind of a creative idea when you think about the emotionless features.
Yeah,
because it's like this whole thing of like the past just shows you what you did. It can't really pass judgment what's happened. It's just going to show you it's your job to pass judgment on it. But she can't pass judgment. Maybe that's the idea. Maybe it's scary, but it's a lesson though.
I guess so.
No, the point is, I think it's supposed to be. It's intentionally supposed. Your past is supposed to be haunting, anyways. That's the idea, probably.
Okay, so let's move on to probably, arguably, everyone's favorite part of the movie.
Sure. The Ghost of Christmas Present, fantastic.
Oh, he's freaking wonderful.
Is again performed by the beloved and unfortunately no longer with us, but the beloved nonetheless, Jerry Nelson. Yeah, so Jerry Nelson, he played. This is one of like the full body suit Muppets. Like he's in the suit, kind of like Big Bird
style.
Yes, more sweet. That's a more accurate one. Yes.
Right.
But Carol Spinney's same kind of difference.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway, yeah, it's the. Christmas Present. He's so wonderful, and originally they wanted to keep him big the whole way through, but again, you can see the obvious challenges with making him huge the whole way through. That's a lot of Muppets to work into a scene. But again, that was a huge Muppet though in that room though for that scene.
It was gigantic. Yeah,
it was gigantic. They've done even bigger Muppets, and not just puppets and other features too. I mean,
like, sure, absolutely, man.
Like
Dark Crystal.
Yeah, I think Dark Crystal is the one I'm thinking of. Huge. Oh my god, huge stuff now.
It's crazy. Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
It is.
We should talk about those Henson movies at some point.
Maybe next year for like an anniversary or something.
Maybe. Yeah. We'll see.
Anyway, those were passion projects for him. But But yeah, seriously, Ghost Christmas Present. He's really great. He's really fun. It puts you in a good mood instantly. The guy, he's even getting you get a chance. Sorry. He shakes Scrooge out of his the stuff he went through in the past, and now he's just kind of breaking him into the present, saying, you're showing him, hey, some good stuff's going on here, man. Snap out of it.
It's a good, like, I consider it like a sandwich. You know what I mean? It's like there's really dark stuff, and then really light stuff, and then really dark stuff again.
Yeah, it's basically the idea of presence. Like there's things going on that Scrooge doesn't know about at the moment. That if he knew about these things, he'd be a happier guy. Which ultimately that's the journey of Scrooge. He has to get to that place, and that's
sure.
Presence role. Isn't he? Presence is showing you, hey, look, enjoy the day, live in the present. Live for the now. Don't live for the past you never had, which was Scrooge's problem. He lived in the past that he never had, which he was embittered about. He lived in the present more. He might be more of a conscious guy.
It just every time this guy speaks, it's like I don't know. There's just
better, man.
His voice.
Come in, know me better, man.
Right. There's just something about his voice.
Did I already say that?
It's just so comforting. I don't know.
Yeah. And of course, it's interesting when they do the thing because a lot of times this guy gets played really scary at the end. A lot of stories like the Jim Carrey one, he's played terrifying in the end. Like he turns into like a skeleton. It's really scary.
Right. That Jim Carrey one is kind of nuts.
Yeah, it is nuts. I mean, it's not all bad, but it's just nuts.
No. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying it's nuts.
It is like he's like a flame head for the past. It's really out there. It's really out there.
Oh god.
But with the though, it's like it's this idea that present, instead of going too creepy at the end like he can in the story, the original story. That's only the Jim Carrey one is pretty accurate when you think about it. In most places, like of course they went in tangents towards the end because they had to meet a studio quota. Like you have to have an action scene. What's Christmas Carol? You have to have an. But it's like the creepy moments, like seeing like the impoverished, almost cannibal-like children around the legs. Like they obviously they didn't opt for that in this one. But the Jim Carrey one did. Like the weird poverty-stricken cannibal kids.
Oh Jesus!
But,
was that in the original book?
Yeah, it's in one of the versions. I think it's in the book.
I really want to read the original book because I really love the prose.
All I can tell you is I remember like whatever one has the illustration. There's something with some original illustrations, and that's basically what the Jim Carrey one had in their movie.
Ooh, yeah. Oh, yeah, I don't know. I'm just saying, like, I'm getting into Dickens just in terms of, like, his wordplay.
Yeah, Dickens was a good writer,
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like he was definitely, like, he was ahead of his time just in terms of the way that he was able to kind of, like, craft metaphors and allegories and stuff like that. All right, anyways.
But seriously, though, like I was saying, though, what I loved about President is that he didn't go creepy at the end of it. He jollifully threw the words that Scrooge had said earlier, like decrease the surplus, better off die now, decrease the surplus population. He's throwing these words back in his face. He's like maybe a little smug, but that's about it. Not mean spirit or anything.
Yeah, no, exactly. Okay. Then I guess unless you have anything to say about that, we'll move on to Christmas Yet to Come. I think this is probably the most standard out of the three, but it's definitely unsettling. I don't think it's as unsettling as Christmas Past, but I don't know. It's definitely like, you got kind of like the faceless features. It kind of looks like a typical Grim Reaper in certain aspects.
Yeah, but there's such great build to it, and the score really complements this guy so well.
There is great build, for sure.
I probably told you this before too, but this is interesting. This Muppet in particular, you'll notice when it's raining out, he's covered because rain tears through the sheet of this thing like tissue paper. So you'll notice in that scene when they're walking around when it's really raining. Again, you're right about the atmosphere. The atmosphere's fantastic in this movie. All the rainy stuff.
Absolutely.
I don't know why. I just love seeing Scrooge walk around in the rain.
Mm-hmm.
Like dressed in his his pajamas and his robes and stuff, just walking around in the rain. I love that shot. But and walking with practically the Grim Reaper. I mean, come on, it's pretty cool. Right, but seriously, like if the rain, you'll notice there's no rain falling on the Reaper because he probably has a tarp or something above him. Because if they tried it before and they just tore through the thing like tissue paper.
Oh God!
But seriously, there's the idea of like there's no build, and just he points and like he has the power to swirl into the next scene. Really,
yeah.
Terrifying.
Like I said, it doesn't make as much of an. I think the build is definitely the strong point of him. I don't think the actual character or presence is as menacing as.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Christmas Past.
Kind of like Past, though. Think about it. With Past, Past and Past in the future shouldn't cast judgment. Especially the future. The future should be ambiguous. Like he's not out to get you. He's the future. He's not the Grim Reaper. He's the future.
No, yeah, you're absolutely right.
I think this one got right. This one got right. Down to play my scary Grim Reaper. No, just saying, hey, I'm going to point you to your future.
I don't quite remember what they did with the Jim Carrey one, but I bet
I know
it
was a shadow. It was a shadow of like. It was just like an ominous shadows about it.
Oh, that's it?
No, I mean, they had to chase them for some reason. It looked cool, but it was I can't remember because it wasn't that interesting. But,
Okay.
All I can remember is it was cool visually, but it was different.
Sure.
Wasn't as cool as this one, though. This one I thought was cool. Big. It looked really cool, I thought.
Okay, so I guess with that, we should transition into standout stars. Yeah, and obviously here
in this case, star.
Yeah. Like there's Fred and there's Fred's wife.
Yeah, but let's face it, let's not talk about that. I mean, there's not a lot.
Well, okay, with Fred really quick, like I said, I do like the one moment where he's visiting Scrooge and Cratchit's kind of like nodding and agreeing with him at the Merry Christmas Bob. I like that. I think he serves a good, very, very minor role, but I think he's kind of like you know, kind of like a voice of conscience in the film for sure.
Yeah,
like almost like kind of like the human parallel to Kermit in a way.
Yeah.
So with that in mind, let's get to the main attraction. By Cocaine himself.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sorry, you cut out. You know what it sounded like when you cut out?
My Cocaine?
Yeah, it sounded like you said no.
I literally did say my cocaine.
Oh, so you said my cocaine.
Yes.
I thought you cut out or something.
No, I literally said my cocaine.
So what about your okay, Tiki, what about your cocaine? Let's talk about it. So what's so special about your cocaine I need to know about? Okay.
Are you implying that I'm on drugs?
No, you said it.
All right.
Okay, so your cocaine aside, let's talk about my cocaine.
All right, so as we've already said, I mean, just freaking genius. I mean, I definitely, out of all the human characters in all of the Muppet movies, he is the best, right?
Yeah, as much as I love Charles, and I do love Charles Grodin in the Muppet movies, I think Michael Caine's probably the if he's the best, but I think Grodin might be my favorite. I don't know.
Grodin is probably like the best in terms of like the biggest comedic highlight in all of them, maybe, perhaps. This guy is just like, okay, you know what? I don't care that those felt animals around me. I'm going to work with that.
Well, I'll tell you what the difference is. Here's the difference. It's that Grodin is great with the he plays off Miss Piggy extraordinarily well.
Miss Piggy.
Da da Miss Piggy, da 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 da, dreams come true. But no. You know, Grodin plays off her extremely well. Yet Caine plays off every Muppet extremely well.
Absolutely.
Because, and of course, here's the credit to him. Here's the best thing about him. He treats them like real performers, and that's what you have to do with the Muppets.
And that's what Caine absolutely nailed, because he just went into this movie and he's like, okay, I'm going to take this thing damn seriously. Like, I'm going to method act the crap out of this thing.
Yeah.
And he did.
And ordinarily you get some absurdity out of that, but no, it's actually played straight. He sells you on it because he does.
Yeah, there's really no silly moments with him at all.
I know, that's the amazing thing. Usually you just say, okay, play like that's the thing. Like Charles Grodin, he plays it seriously, and it's hilarious because of the absurdity, because he's like Adam West style with that, and it's fantastic.
Exactly.
But here it's like Mike Caine's such a good actor, and he plays it straight. It courses throughout the movie of, man, he is really playing straight, and he's
it's like, even though like this world is like half human, half Muppets, and there's like chickens and crazy alien looking creatures.
I mean, there's talking vegetables.
But still, it's like with the presence of this one guy, it all comes together to create this sort of gravitas that no other Muppet movie really has.
Now, of course, what Caine really does great with the Scrooge role in particular, you know, he plays a Scrooge with dimension. As I mentioned, I love his dynamic with Cratch, is that the idea, you know, these two guys, like it's like Caine he knows he can control Cratch. He doesn't have to bark at him every time. He knows, like, he just explains things to Cratch. So that's kind of a relationship of like, you know what's going on here, that sort of thing. Like a Scrooge with dimension and kind of perspective. Like he's a Scrooge that doesn't have to yell. I mean, he can yell, and it's hilarious. And it's hilarious. Yeah. It's hilarious when he yells at people, and they're terrible.
How would you like to be unemployed? This is my island in the sun.
I think you've convinced them, Mr. Scrooge. You know, but still, it's like a Scrooge. Like when he really sells you on the scenes. This is always kind of the hard buy when you have in the other Christmas carols, when you basically, you know, Cratch had asked for the day off, and sometimes it's a little forced, sometimes it works fine enough. But you know, this one you buy it all the whole thing, because basically, you know, Cratch kind of sells him the logistics of this, and you know, he says, well, because I'm the only one who cares about this sort of thing, I guess a day would be fine, or half a day.
Sure.
You know. Yeah, I mean, he really sells you on it. Even this version of Scrooge, the one he plays, and this is kind of a double-edged sword here. I think it works fine enough for him. He's not all bad, you know, and I think it's what you kind of need for the Scrooge, that's showing you, like, the transition of Scrooge you buy, because you know he's not all bad.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think the transition of Scrooge in itself is probably like the best part of his performance.
That's the thing. That's the best part of his performance. However, there's the caveat of it though, and I will take this performance over anything. Don't get me wrong, but I was going to point out though that he doesn't really sell you on how cruel Scrooge can be though. in the beginning. Like the first day, he's not really cruel. He's just cheap.
But to tell you the truth, I don't necessarily think that's what this movie's trying to do.
I know, that's what I'm saying. It's not a weakness
Yeah.
in the movie. I'm just saying compared to other Scrooges, that's the thing. And if
No, I mean, you're absolutely right, but I think that this movie, like, in terms of softening up Scrooge a little bit, they actually make him more layered, which is kind of a brilliant sort of, like, Jim Henson-esque thing to do.
Yeah, and you know, it's like the one thing in the movie with that whole their take on Scrooge. You know, their take on Scrooge is great, and it's a little different though. And that, again, as we just discussed, it works phenomenally for this movie. However, like the two elements of Scrooge in this movie that are really different, they're kind of a buy, but you know, you easily buy because it sold you so much in the movie. Is that one? The whole thing with the Belle, yeah, it's Belle, you know, the girlfriend from the past, Belle.
Mm-hmm.
The thing with Belle is, like, remember, there's a deleted scene that's in the DVD version of the movie. It's not in the theatrical version.
Right.
Sings in the song, and the thing is, that scene kind of goes by fast, like a whole courtship of Belle. But you know, he sells you on it. And
I'd say if there's one weakness in the movie, it's probably that.
Yeah.
That stuff is. I mean, it's.
I'm saying it goes by fast, but
yeah, it's fine, but I don't think it's very substantial to the rest of the movie.
That's what I'm saying, though. Basically, you understand what he's.
Like, I almost kind of feel like if they would have taken that stuff out, it would have played just fine without it to a certain extent.
Yeah, but you need. It's like the thing is they got rid of the sister thing, and if they get rid of the sister thing, you need the relationship. And of course, you're going to keep the big line in there. He has like the Fred, like condemning him for having a relationship because he's very jealous of the fact he's not having a relationship. And of course, they do the gutsy thing of, you know, Scrooge doesn't get a happy ending with this girl. It's not like the Flintstones. He doesn't get a happy ending. So I mean, he's not going to end up with this girl. That's gone.
No, sure, I hear you. I hear you.
So I mean, you know, it's always kind of a vibe.
All I'm saying is that it just kind of feels like, in terms of the narrative, it kind of is introduced and then doesn't really get brought up again a lot.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's just kind of like, hey, here's some motivation. You want motivation? Well, we got motivation. Here's motivation. Motivation, the scene.
Speaking of motivation, let's talk about two bits with Kane here. One, let's talk about that scene we were talking about earlier with Picky, is the reactions. Let's talk about how he reacts to scenes, like he's doing like the ghost thing, like he's in the scene, but he's not. So tell us a little bit about that, would you?
Well, I mean, at this point in the movie, he's already kind of like, I feel like with the Ghost of Christmas Present stuff, Michael Caine, like, he's still Scrooge, but he's kind of coming around like, it's like I've got a little bit of holiday spirits.
He plays, here's what Caine does brilliant. He plays such a brilliant, and you rarely see it, he plays an enlightened Scrooge.
Exactly.
And he does it well. He's a learning Scrooge, and I love that about it.
It's a slow transition throughout the movie, and you see it in Kane's performance throughout the whole thing, and you can, like, track it. And so at this point, I think Kane's very sympathetic towards the whole situation, obviously. And, you know, I think he's just as broken up about Tiny Tim's death as Kermit and Piggy are. And I think that's probably the whole emotional power of it. I mean, Kane is just absolutely distraught, and I think every time that Kane is like, please spirit, show me no more, you know, every time he does it, it gets more and more desperate throughout the film. But oh man,
I'll tell you one thing, when Kane says no, not Tiny Tim, when he says that's the heartbreaking part. Now I'll tell you the other scene. Now here's the scene that gets me all the time. Every time I watch it, that is one of the finest bits in this movie. It's not my favorite one. I mean, there are so many great moments in this movie, but this one's like my close second. I love the scene at the end where, you know, it's earlier as it is in every interpretation. You know, they have the beggars, not the beggars. Like he calls them the beggars. You know, like they come by and pretty much they want the donation.
Charity workers.
Yeah. Let me say, I think he probably in his tirade, I think he called them beggars. But you know, they're the charity guys, and they come around doing it for like a children's hospital or a poorhouse, right? So
Like
a poorhouse.
A poorhouse.
Basically, you know, donations for the poorhouse, and this time it's Bunsen, Honeydew, and Beaker. And of course, now here Beaker has this red scarf on at the end here. Basically, so we have to Scrooge. You
Man!
This bit for me. If I can only take away one thing from this movie, it will always be this scene. It is the bit when Scrooge,
Beaker, man.
Yeah. Oh my God. He doesn't have. You get me. He does very little to do in this movie. But he does, oh my! This is the best Beaker moment in all the Muppet movies, from I don't know. I can't
I
really
don't know about that. He's had some good ones in the later Muppet movies, but
I don't know if they're as good as this.
It's up there, though. It's up there. I mean, it is definitely Peaker's most emotional moment.
I was saying
by
he's been shrunk and he got rid of a bomb. Really, that's all he did in the other.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough.
Come on. Okay, my point is, seriously, do you know what I'm going to explain real quick? It's basically, Scrooge sees the light of his ways. He gives away a whole, I'm thinking of the Scrooge McDuck sacks full of money, but I mean, he's giving a donation. He offers him a donation. He says, "Oh, that's an amazing amount," and then he says, "Oh, wish we could give you something," or something like that. Then Beaker, oh my God, so he's wearing his red scarf for the whole movie, and there's just I love the timing on this. Such a quiet moment. He takes the scarf off, and the music just slows down. It's really sweet, really nice. He takes the scarf off, and he gives it to Scrooge as a gift because they didn't feel bad. They wanted to give him back something to him. And Beakers gives him the scarf, and just Michael Caine, here's the best performance he gives in the entire film.
Oh, he acts his ass off in that moment.
Again, he's just treating them like, it's like the kindest stranger has ever treated him, It's like he gives him a scarf. Is this for me?
Present for me?
And then just, and then he puts it on. And it's the sweetest thing I've ever. That is the most Christmassy thing I've ever seen in the Muppets.
No, I totally hear you.
It works so well. It shows you Scrooge has come around, and it's a random kindness that works phenomenally well, and just showing you that he has learned and he's truly touched to his core of like the kindness of a stranger. Like now he's been woken up to the wonders of Christmas present.
Absolutely.
For a present, present for a present, it's good. Okay, that's my okay. Let's go through some songs. There's some other great moments here. I'm sorry, anything else about Michael Caine or Scrooge? We can go on for hours about Caine being brilliant here, but come on.
Yeah. No, I'm fine. Like I said, I just think he's easily probably like, if any human actor in a Muppet movie were to win an Oscar, it would definitely be Michael.
Oh, of course, hands down, he deserves the Muppet Oscar. And the Muppet Oscar is it's pretty much it's a golden Kermit the Frog.
I want
with
that.
A banjo. It's a golden Kermit the Frog with a banjo.
Oh my God! Yes.
Okay, so should we get to our musical interlude?
Sure.
Do the musical interlude. So the music in this movie was done by, again, returning, and this is why another reason this movie kind of stands above a lot of them. Not all of them, but it's a standout. Paul Williams did the music for this, and Miles Goodman, he did the score. Mm-hmm. So yeah, Paul Williams, of course, did he wrote the songs for the original Muppet movie. All by the Rainbow Connection, certainly. So let's go through songs here.
All right.
So we got the start, and we got the Scrooge song.
This is kind of where it starts.
Sorry.
This is where it starts to be like, I'm noticing the filmmaking techniques at play. I'm noticing that they're not revealing Scrooge's face. Even as a kid, I'm like, ooh, that's really interesting. It's like we've got this environment with all these Muppets and all these crazy things going on, and yet the central focus, like the thing that's really being built up into mystery, is this guy. Just this guy with this cane and this heavy coat that's just walking through, and everyone's just saying how nasty he is. It really leaves an impression. And like I said, I think it's just this. I'm sorry. It's just the start of what is a very artistically driven movie.
Yeah, it's so well shot too. Just again, first of all, we're probably gonna mention it down the line, but I mean, of course, the production design on this movie is fantastic.
Of course,
because it's Muppet sized, and that's Brian Henson brought to the Muppet universe. He made a Muppet sized, yet also, human accessible.
That is absolutely Brian Henson's stamp on it.
Yeah, that's the thing we can never take away from Brian Henson. I mean, it'll be in other movies, but very subtly, but it's always there because of that guy.
Yeah, it's very prominent in his two movies.
Of course, it's an interesting evolution.
It makes his two movies unique.
It's an interesting evolution when you think about it, because Jim Henson, when he did, it was like the idea of these Muppets in a place where they really don't fit in that well.
Sure, exactly.
I mean, obviously,
this is kind of opposite.
It's like they sell you on fitting in, but you can tell, obviously, in the universe where there are not handicaps, but
basically the joke is that they fit in even though they shouldn't.
Yeah. It's like a thing where in the original Muppet movie, there was Steve Martin. He brings them the champagne and the straws. Basically, it's in a universe where there are obviously some I don't know, handicaps is the right word, but there are some limitations. There are some limitations to within the universe they're in, and here they're kind of working around those limitations with these movies.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like there are Muppet-sized swords and stuff in other movies,
Oh God. Right. Right.
Okay. So the Scrooge song, really good, really nice introduction there. Here comes Mr. Humbug. Da-na-da-da-da. Good beat. And that's really what Paul Williams and Miles Goodman really brought to it with that kind of combination. They really have like that great kind of interlude of the music within kind of the heartbeat of the movie. Dickie, you there? Hello. Sorry, folks, my colleague seems to be frozen at the moment, and not in the "I was frozen today" way. Well, while he's composing himself, let me take you through the rest of the songs here. So, so following the Scrooge song, we have "One More Sleep Till Christmas," and this is pretty much the song once we've gotten to know Cratchit and the other rat workers at the place. The rat, I think they're bookkeepers. The other rat bookkeepers, the assistant bookkeepers. They're closing up shop because they have one more sleep till Christmas. They're all like, "Ooh, it's Christmas Eve! Huzzah! Hooray! Kale! They're all happy-go-lucky, and it's really nice, really charming. Again, there's the Brian Henson kind of. This is where the Brian Henson production design really comes in handy because you see all these little, these really great inventive shots within the thing going on. Of like, you get some above shots of the Muppets, which is at that point probably unheard of. You see like Rizzo from the top of this. You see the top of Rizzo's head and the bottom there. It's somewhere underneath it, but it looks seamless. Though, like he's just standing there. A lot of great shots like that. Like Kermit the Frog jumping up and down in the room. A bunch of cool stuff. One More Sleep, of course, is a really sweet song. Ends with that kind of that great shot of like seemingly a star is wishing Kermit a Merry Christmas. Really fine. Good song. It's got like the Paul Williams kind of panache to it. Really nice. So, let's see. So, next we got, good one. Right, kind of the ghost songs, the kickoff ghost songs. We have Marley and Marley, sung by Stanley and Waldorf, and boy, oh boy, is it fun. Marley and Marley, oh! Warning Scrooge about his greed, they're proud of their actions in the past, but of course hindered by the chains of that greed, and it's them learning about it. So, moving on to Marley and Marley. Again, great song. Yeah, that's one. It's so catchy. You can listen to it all day. That Marley and Marley song. It's great. It is. So, next we got "When Love Is Gone." Now, "When Love Is Gone," that's when we go to Christmas. Goes Christmas Past, takes us a little journey through the past. I mean, it's technically the Electric Mayhem song. It's kind of background music, not a lot really there. It's basically "When Love Is Gone." This is a song that actually was cut from the film. This was edited out of the movie for time. Again, that was kind of another thing not helping the kind of the weak Belle moment of like, you get rid of it. There's yet less development with the whole romance, which kind of a problem. But I gotta admit, the song, it's okay. It's fine. I love the musical theme within the movie based on this. I mean, this is thematically woven into kind of the crux of the movie in score and in kind of theme. Like there are variations on the song. It's an important song that was pivotal to the movie, but when it's gone, you don't miss it. But there are references to it, and I think they work fine with that. It's it's a double-edged sword in that regard. So it's like it's nice, but you don't need it. Drags a little, but it's not bad by any stretch. And as a kid, probably would have bored me, but it's fine. I'm sure. Okay, so then we got "Bless the Soul," and this is Christmas. I'm sorry, I've jumped ahead a smidge. Let me go back a little. Sorry if I'm sounding pretentious. I'm just a tiki here. Anyways, we have "It Feels Like Christmas." Oh man, this is a big old showstopper right here. So we got the Christmas present. He's there. He's singing. He's going bananas. He's not going bananas. He's embracing the holiday spirit, and this is really kind of him showing Scrooge the majesty of Christmas. This is really kind of the winning over Scrooge song. Works really well. Works tremendously well. It's first of all, it's really well shot too, because all these performers going around during the song. It goes like we see Jerry Nelson kind of performing the heck out of the Ghost Christmas Present. You know, he's even like shrinking down in scenes, not literally, but you know, shots where he's shrinking down, giving gifts of cheese to mice. You know, it's really good. So one, it's like kind of this grand, it feels like Christmas. You know, it has this great, wonderful build in it too. Just again, production design, beautiful, flawless. You know, just that everything's clicking brilliantly in this scene. And again, I love the score in this, and I love that the score and the lyrics of this song kind of echoed throughout, especially towards the end. You know, of course, it's interesting looking at the music how kind of the themes of the song carry over into Scrooge's journey. So, you know, like the whole when love is gone, you know, it's Scrooge obviously becoming Scrooge. It feels like Christmas is kind of awakening.
Oh, thank God.
Are we still alive?
Yeah, we're still alive.
Good, making sure. So yeah, we're back. I'm at It Feels Like Christmas.
Okay, good. Yeah, that's obviously the highlight song. I'd say in terms of like what the Rainbow Connection is, in terms of like just a regular song, I think It Feels Like Christmas is in terms of Christmas songs. It is a classic. It is an absolute classic. I'd say the sequence in the movie is the absolute highlight of the movie. Would you say so?
Oh, of course. I mentioned a little bit that what was so great about these songs, when you think about it, is that they kind of echo Scrooge. They're tuned into Scrooge's arc. You know, it's like when love is gone. You know, it feels like Christmas. That's just showing them the majesty of Christmas, and you know, it's all built in there.
Yeah, it's nice. And this, I mean, I just think all the songs kind of have a really nice build to them and a really nice momentum. And this is no different. And I really like how, and I think the song works really well. Again, kind of coming back with the end credits, kind of playing over the end credits. It's really like, it's impossible to listen to this song. And even if you just did 30 freaking podcasts about Christmas specials like 3 weeks ago, you could still get into the Christmas spirit listening to the song. It's great.
This and one more song coming up, I think, are these songs that kind of, again, at least for me, they're the ones that get you in the mood. You know, get you like the whole, you're happy, you're really loving this when you get in the holiday spirit, even though it's probably not the holiday, which, of course, one of our shows is entirely based around.
Of course.
So, let's see. Then we get Bless Us All. It's a tiny tune. Again, it's okay.
It's a nice moment, but I kind of feel like...
A little on the nose, but it's okay.
Yeah, it's a little on the nose. That's what I'm saying. I kind of feel like, in a way, I don't want to say it cheapens the line, but I kind of feel like it would have been a little bit stronger if they just would have had the line and nothing else. Yeah, I don't know. You know what I mean?
I'll tell you what it is. It's a plot song. That's what it is. Yeah.
Exactly.
It says "Bless Us All." We could have left it at that, but you know, if it were me, you know, as much as I'm
in the book, they left it at that, and it was freaking beautiful.
You know, as much as I'm kind of hit or miss on the "When Love Is Gone" song. Which, by the way, interestingly enough, kind of Aladdin style, Jeffrey Katzenberg said the accent, by the way.
Oh, God.
Seriously, Katzenberg said the song, kind of Aladdin style.
Oh, also, I don't think we ever mentioned this, but this is the first Muppet film to be produced by Disney, so that's interesting.
Oh, yeah. Wait, is Treasure Island done by Disney also? Or is this just... Oh,
Treasure Island's done by Disney, yeah.
Yeah, and Henson had a good relationship with Disney, better than his father.
They did, indeed.
Yeah, that's where the Muppets kind of, they kind of...
Because it was all right around the time of Muppet Vision as well.
Right. So like Jim Henson kind of started the Disney, even though I think it was reluctant with Henson. He just wanted to get the ideas out there. He really hated marketing, from what I hear. But, you know, I think I'm getting the sense Brian Henson wanted to keep the dream alive, so he just kind of kept the blood pumping through kind of alliances with Disney, which, again, getting it out there for these two films, good notion, but then it kind of dragged on.
Well, we'll see.
I'm saying ultimately it worked out fine. It worked out fine. I'm just saying that it was kind of like it was over. It kind of lost steam after the film. After that, you know.
Yeah, I definitely say that. You know, that's kind of the tricky thing about doing a Muppet retrospective is that you've got the really memorable films like one after another. I mean, the first two, it's kind of like. I'm not saying that any other film in the franchise is bad, besides maybe Muppets from Space. I don't know. I'll just have to rewatch it and see for myself. I don't know.
It's like this. Look, again, I'm not. You know how much I love to usually use this comparison, so take it with a grain of salt. But it's kind of like the Diamond Floss. They're not bad movies. They have to be ranked below. And like, let's say, to me, well, let's just say, you know, From Space it was ranked lower. It is. Has to go
Muppets from
somewhere.
Space is like the Cars 2 of the Muppet movies.
You know what? I will say that's potentially accurate. I don't know. I'd say it's the Brave. I don't know.
It's like it's got some fine elements in it. It's got some good puppetry in it, but man, I really don't like what they did with the Gonzo thing.
I'll say this. I think I'm going to say that Treasure Island's Brave and in Muppet Space is Cars 2. I'll give you that. How's that sound?
I like Treasure Island a lot more than you do, so it'll be interesting to talk about that.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm ranking it as. We'll see.
Like, I do genuinely think that Treasure Island is almost a return to form of classic Muppet movies in a way, just how much they do with Muppets. But
anyway, so
obviously you don't feel that way, so that'll be.
I do not feel that way. You're going to hear me.
Me and Monkey might tag team you.
You know, when you say it like that, it just sounds wrong. I want you to know that.
Don't you think that that's the reason I said it was because it sounds wrong? All right. Anyway.
Okay, so here, let's get to one. Personally, if not, it feels like Christmas is probably being the best song movie. This one, I think, may be the best song movie.
Okay.
Thankful Heart is like the Christmas march. I love this song.
Right.
Now this is the one after, this one after he gets the scarf, and after he gets that wonderful scarf, and he's all happy-go-lucky. The Thankful Heart. It's the song the score is kind of molded into.
Yeah, it's a great moment because it's like throughout the whole movie, it's kind of like the whole movie is almost like a build to this release that Michael Caine has singing the song, I'll
tell you what's so great about it, too. It's kind of a mix of It Feels Like Christmas in there. It's like kind of a mix. It's a weird mix of the Scrooge song and It Feels Like Christmas. Like the build of the Scrooge song and the tone of It Feels Like Christmas mixed together with Thankful Heart. And I think it works brilliantly.
But it's just great seeing Michael Caine just like, at this point, he is just absolutely jubilant about the whole situation.
Yeah, it feels like a schoolboy. It's awesome. It is. It's Thankful Heart has this wonderful. Again, it's just this march triumphance to it, and it works.
Sure.
So I love hearing in the score too throughout the movie too. Like this point to the end, whenever you just have like it's in the opening credits even. That's what I'm saying. Like
exactly. Yeah, it really weaves its way through.
That's what I'm saying.
This isn't a Hans Zimmer score, is it?
No, I think the next one is.
Yeah, the next one definitely is, which we'll talk about. But
I don't know. I told you it was Miles Goodman doing this one, so it's not.
Okay, yeah, sorry. Just
you see what I mean though. It's a great score mixed in with that song being kind of like the themes the musical scores derived from these songs.
Absolutely.
Anyway, so then we have basically I could go on for hours how much I love Thankful Heart. We're gonna move on from that. But seriously, the Thankful Heart, great song. Again, the production design too. So real quick, I mentioned that while you were gone also, but the production design on this movie with these songs, they're really great produced little numbers they got here. Like pretty much all the numbers are in this song.
Yeah, it's crazy.
The clamoring around him and everything, it's awesome. And I love the last year, he shoes off Bunny at the end. It's like, hey, remember there's a self-referential joke about Bean Bunny in this movie. They toss the reef at him because the idea is people that like Bean Bunny, these little people, the people within the Muppet movies, they think he's annoying though.
Have any of you guys seen a bunny?
Exactly. So it's like that's why Scrooge tosses the reef at him because like people don't like Bean Bunny. And then Bean Bunny's like, "Hey, boy, what day is it? A smart lad you are."
This is the first movie that Bean appeared in, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. So then we give our last song. After this one is piggybacks off the song that was cut out of the movie "When Love Is Gone."
Mm-hmm.
So this one is kind of, it's like, I think it works fine without that original song, but I'm saying it kind of works better when we have the song that I know where it's kind of bridging off of, perhaps. It's When Love Is Found.
Yeah.
Anything? Yeah, so When Love Is...
I'm sorry, I don't have much to add at this point.
All right, fine. When Love Is Found, that's the whole, now everything, he became a friend, a mentor, and almost a second father to Tiny Tim. Remember? Yeah, that the
No, yeah, I remember. I just don't have much to say about it. I'm sorry.
It's kind of a nice out for it. That's pretty much it's about it.
It is. Yeah.
Not as jovial and awesome as Thankful Heart, in my opinion, but it's good.
That's what I'm saying. I kind of feel like I almost wish the movie would have ended on Thankful Heart and not transitioned into a second song.
I gotta tell you, When Love Is Found is a good credit song. That's a good credit song.
It is.
It's a good way to bridge into the credits, especially given the emotional thing you find out there. Well, not that it's a news, but it's like whenever you have these moments revealed in the credits, you want to have some good motion music playing,
Right, and it's a good transition into the other rendition of It Feels Like Christmas in the credits.
Oh yeah. Okay, so that's about it.
All right, let's get to our memorable Muppet moment.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh yeah.
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 Okay, so I guess I'll go through mine first. Mine's pretty simple. It's I love Sam Eagle. I mean, Sam Eagle might be one of my favorite Muppet characters.
This is with the exception of potentially, I gotta weigh this, bear in mind, with the exception of probably most wanted. This is probably my favorite Sam Eagle moment in all of Muppet movies.
So, I mean, basically, of course, the joke all around with Sam Eagle is that he's so super uber, like, patriotic. I almost feel like Sam Eagle is kind of like a classy version of King Hill, or I'm sorry, of Hank Hill, just in terms of how patriotic he is, you know what I mean?
I don't know if I use that comparison.
No, it's a stretch, I know, but I'm just saying, like, both of them kind of, like, embody the whole, like, white-blooded, patriotic American attitude. But Sam Eagle, of course, is a much better character. But, I mean, I love the idea of Sam is, he's always an authority figure in these movies, which is a great kind of running point for him. Well, not all the time. I mean, in Muppets, Great Muppet Caper, he was just kind of the annoyed tenant who was living in this, this hotel full of weirdos.
Yeah.
But most of the time he's put into some position of authority, even if it's just like the Muppet movie where he's just like, Kermit, this movie better have, what is it, like, morally upright content or whatever.
Yeah, something like that, yeah.
So here, I like the idea of him playing Scrooge's teacher and Scrooge having like a really fond kind of remembrance of this man. Like, this is the man that I picked my career in this room. He's really going back to it. And but I love the moment where Scrooge is just like, he's laying out the whole attitude of being a businessman and everything, and he ends his big speech with, "That is the American way."
Not in a sense. It's a British.
Yeah, in classic Muppets fashion, this is the best fourth wall break of the film. Gonzo whispers in Sam's ear. Sam's just like, "Oh."
That is the British way.
It's the British way.
Yeah,
and I love how disgusted Sam looks when he has to say the British way.
Well, it's not exactly. Here's the best part, dude. It's not disgusted. It's just he's just taking off his game. Like, I had this whole thing that I got to go back. It's like, it's just like look like, wait, you just broke the fourth wall. Look at this.
I don't know though. I feel like after he says British, like the camera kind of keeps on him, and he looks very disgruntled about having to say that.
Let me give you 2 moments within that. Just like you mentioned, like the whole. I love the way he delivers business. A man of business. A man of business. And then the best part is like when they transition at the end, you hear him say something hilarious. I don't know if you caught this or not. It's really hilarious. It's just the last line.
I think I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
When he's whispering he's like telling young Scrooge, just don't tip the driver. Don't tip the driver. He's like teaching him to be cheap. I love that.
Exactly.
Okay, so my favorite, memorable Muppet moment. As much as I love that scarf bit, as much as I do love that, I don't know if I could put it over this moment. It's
I'd say this almost, dare I say, goes into freaking like Alfred Hitchcock territory in terms of just how much mood and suspense and atmosphere is built up.
I mean, you're going to do this scene. Sometimes it works better than others. This one, it works phenomenally, what you're going for. And just, at least what they're laying out here, the idea that, Scrooge really, he connects with the present. Like, he's now waking up. And, of course, when he wakes up to the present, that's the time when it's past. And literally, we get that represented physically and literally.
Sure.
So here it's like that. In the moment he realizes, he's in tune with the past of what he wants to be. That's when it goes. And, of course, the horrifying realization is that the present being a guy, the present's going to pass. I mean, he literally has to pass. And of course, they mentioned earlier, like the whole, he has all his brothers are a day. So he's like thousands and thousands of brothers.
Right.
Anyway, so that said, it's again the idea that he's built a friendship with the present, and he's had a great dynamic with Ghost Christmas Present. He's getting shaken from his ways, and he's appreciated him. And after like his big revelation about Tiny Tim's, like decrease the surplus population. Is that right? That whole thing. They're walking around, and it's getting the atmosphere's fantastic. It's all dark and black outside. And he's like a little log covered in snow. So it's like lightly snowing out for the moment.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, they take a seat there, and you can tell the president's getting tired. He basically is getting ready to pass away. Go into the wind. Obi-Wan, so to speak.
Oh God.
The point is just he's sitting down there, and Scrooge is getting concerned for his friend. They're saying, "Wait, what's wrong?" He says, "Well, I live for like my brothers and sisters before me. I live for the day. And the day has passed, basically by the chime of the 13th bell, and that's a great Hitchcockian ticking clock. In a way.
That's what I'm saying. The ticking clock definitely turns this into it feels like something out of Vertigo or something.
When the bell tolls one.
Oh God.
Well, Gonzo said
Jimmy
that.
Stewart.
No, Gonzo said that.
I know, but I could just picture Jimmy Stewart saying that in a Hitchcock movie.
When the bell tolls one.
When the bell tolls one. Okay.
But no, seriously,
it totally fits.
No, but seriously though, just this moment of just Scrooge kind of watching him. His beard's getting grayer and whiter, and it's basically he fades. He turns the glitter almost. He fades into magic, and it's so sad just seeing this character we love so much. This character has some of the best songs in the movie just pass away. It's really sad to see. Really effective. And as a kid, not as a kid. I'm sorry. I'm just saying, as a kid, I'm sure I would have felt the same way I feel now. It's really moving.
Absolutely, but I also kind of feel like this movie, much like a lot of Muppet material, kind of feels like it's way accessible towards kids, but I almost feel like on a subtext kind of level, there's almost more to chew on for adults.
Well, and of course, there's a message in there of if you don't live for the day, it might pass you by. You're not going to be around forever type mentality. That's the added meaning to that scene. Of course, here's the best part of it, though. After that really moving, impressive scene right there, so that's a realistic kind of death of a Muppet character right there and right in front of you.
Mm-hmm.
In addition to that, you have this great looking. It is beautifully shot. Again, this is probably one of best cinematography in a Muppet movie, most likely at this point. Screw again. I mentioned that curtain shot earlier on. This is one tops that as much as I like that curtain shot. So Scrooge just standing, basically like now the darkness is gone, and now it's lighter outside. And basically he's kind of staying in a cemetery. It looks like, or he's about to be in a cemetery. Then basically behind him, it sneaks up on him after he hears I guess the last bell chime or something. He's been walking around. Now he's in a cemetery. It's a little lighter outside because it's the next day or day in the future, I guess. There's this huge. It sneaks up right behind him. There is this huge wall, this huge abyss.
Exactly.
Abyss of fog that just creeps up behind him. It's the way it's shot. It surprises you as an audience member. It's not Jaws.
I feel like this movie, it's almost kind of like this movie. Yeah, in terms of Jaws, this movie, the fog is Jaws. The fog is the shark.
It's not Jaws. It's kind of Jaws-esque, but it's not as intimidating.
Well, I'm saying the fog is kind of omnipresent in the movie, but that is the moment where it really becomes kind of terrifying in a way.
Yeah, it just sneaks up, and that's the terrifying message of the future can just sneak up on you.
Exactly.
Basically, just that
Adam Sandler click.
Anyway, well, if the future's what if the future's Christopher Walken? Come on, that's even more terrifying. Oh, what if he was the ghost of Christmas future?
I won't even get into that.
You'd love to see that in a movie. Okay.
What if Christopher Walken as King Louis was the ghost of Christmas?
Okay, look, let's wait for the King Louis thing. Don't just make him King Louis and everything.
I can't wait to see the Jungle Book trailer.
Hold off on the movie.
Release it, Disney. Release it.
All right.
I'm sorry.
Cool the jet. We're not Muppets.
All
I would love to see Christopher Walken in a Muppet movie, though. I'd love to see that.
I'm actually surprised Christopher Walken's never done anything with the Muppets. Anything? Like no TV show appearances?
Maybe Sesame Street. I don't know if Muppets.
I'm kind of surprised about that. You'd think that he'd fit right into it.
I can't recall anything.
Okay.
Anyway, point is, So basically, that fog comes out from behind him. Here's the best part. He runs away from the fog, and it catches up to him, like running away from the future. That's a brilliant statement right there.
Yeah, sure.
And of course, it's well shot. And then of course, he's looking around the fog, and they're just kind of shocked by Ghost of Christmas Future. Da na na na. They have that music cue playing. Dun 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 dun. It's so great. Anyway, that's my favorite moment of the whole. That just the death and the transition from that death to like that giant wall of fog. Oh my god, best shot.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so
I guess the next thing to go into would be the Rainbow Connection. How all these movies tie together. What are kind of some of the running through lines of the Muppet movies?
Let's see. So the big elements
gets a little trickier here. It gets a little trickier with the Brian Henson movies.
Now bear in mind, it's not that we're just saying that they're in the same continuity. There's always some distracting elements with that theory. It's not like James Bond.
Sure.
With the exception of Daniel Craig movies, you could always say the Bond movies are the same continuity. It's a different guy who gets killed off, or retires. It's another number. But anyway, the point is just elements that appear in all the Muppet movies, or appear in future Muppet movies to come. Hey, Ghost of Christmas, Ghost of the Christmas yet to come. In this
Muppets
case,
Past.
Yes. Well, I'm saying no. This is like stuff to come though. In addition to Muppets Past, so it's both. So let's see. So next movie we're going to see very few guest stars in it. So this movie has absolutely no guest stars. So I mean, no. That's why I have no cameo checklist this time, folks.
No, none. Not at all.
All they have is Kane. Let's just say next one has very few cameos or very few guest stars. That's going to be
a couple of awesome ones.
Sure. I'm just saying very few though. So we're getting to the Brian Henson movie is really kind of lowered on the guest stars.
How's Muppets in Space when it comes to that? I don't really remember.
It's got a decent amount of cameos.
Okay, cool.
It's good with the cameos. It's fine. Then we got a few guest stars, fewer guest stars. We got as I mentioned with the production design, definitely with the next movie, we got the Muppet specific sets.
Absolutely, that's definitely the signature that Brian Henson brought to it.
Muppet human specific sets.
I'd say just kind of like in general, Kermit's role throughout all the movies is kind of always the same. He's sort of like the bleeding heart optimist.
Optimist, yes, but there's obviously some differences in there.
I mean, depending on what his role is, yeah. But I'm saying, all I'm saying is that the optimistic quality is always there. That's always kind of his running thing.
Okay.
His optimism and his kind of his selflessness. You know what I mean? Kind of his whole thing of like putting other people before himself.
Can you imagine seeing Kermit the Frog as a bad guy? It's like seeing Jackie Chan as a bad guy. You can never think of it, can you?
Oh God.
Oh my God, Kermit.
I could probably think of a good Jackie Chan villain role if I had some time to think about it.
Well, technically, actually, it's funny. Technically, we have seen Kermit the Frog as a villain. Technically, you want to be technical. Okay. Anyways, let's see. So then,
you're gonna walk, pig. You're gonna walk.
Well, not that. I meant.
No, I know what you meant.
Yeah, but we have Kermit and Piggy's children. We got that. That's gonna be something we're gonna see coming up. Down the line, that whole outside of just the talk, we're actually going to see kind of the result of it. It's going to be a little discussion worthy. Then, of course, the other thing here with the '90s era of Muppets, we have the Gonzo and Rizzo pairing that started here, and that's going to,
of course,
it's going to come back. Well, it didn't start here; it started in like the '90s shows they got going on, again, specials and stuff. But we're going to see that within the next movie, definitely. Mm-hmm. This time they had they don't have Muppets Tonight yet, but they have
There's definitely some new designs in play. There's definitely I feel like in both of the Brian Henson movies, there's definitely I don't know. In some of them, I feel are just kind of like tailor made for the movie itself. Others, I kind of feel like are like characters that they were experimenting with at the time that didn't really stick. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Like, for example, like Treasure Island, we'll get more into it, but, I feel like the crabs and stuff like that, I feel like those kind of Muppets are probably tailor-made for the movie. But I feel like certain just townsfolk and stuff like that, and the more mutated designs, I almost kind of feel like in the 90s, that's what they were going for. Were more kind of like Gonzo style mutated designs, but it just didn't work because I feel like the Muppets themselves, like the classic Muppets, had very simplistic designs to them.
Anything else?
No.
Like Rainbow King, any other ones? That's sort of like, I really got.
No, not unless you can think of it.
For the Brian Henson movies, not a lot of Rainbow connections for those.
Yeah,
There
no.
are a few.
They're kind of like in their own little thing. I mean, I definitely appreciate them. However, I'd also kind of have to say, like, I don't know. They're a tricky kind of mixed bag when they're just so different from the first three. You know what I mean? They're an entirely different animal from the first three, which kind of established a structure. And we don't really go back to that structure until Muppets from Space a little bit, but really not until Muppets Most Wanted do we go back to the classic sort of Muppet movie / Great Muppet Caper style elements that we had. Because I'd say even the 2011 Muppets movie is more of kind of like a comeback movie than it is, a classic Muppet movie.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyways, interesting kind of development going on here. So
yeah, I mean, like just these movies and as I mentioned, as I always like, because it's one of my prized VHS tapes. The Muppet storytelling, the fairy tales.
Of course.
Those are kind of in the same vein of these, of being kind of out of continuity, kind of just like adaptions of stories for the Muppets.
Right.
Okay, so I guess must be any other Rainbow connections. I think at this point, let's pose the thought. What do you think? I'm going to ask you, Tiki. What do you think Statler and Waldorf think of this movie?
Hey, Statler, I've got you a Christmas gift.
What is it?
Guess what it is?
What?
Refunds for this movie.
That's what I wanted.
That was a good one. All right. And with that in mind, let's get into the Henson humblement for our last feature. What can we take away from this movie? And of course,
he's probably
on a sad note, this was the first movie that was produced in the wake of Henson's death. So what can we really take away from it?
And we should, given the fact we're devoting a whole month to the Muppets, we've done a whole video on this, but let's address a little bit. Of course, the passing of Jim Henson, passing of a great, the guy who,
of course,
again, he gave us the Muppets. He put his heart and his soul literally into a frog.
I am absolutely convinced at this point that Jim Henson's soul lives on in Kermit the Frog.
Of course, the legend being, not a legend, it's a fact that, Kermit the Frog for a long time, even potentially to this day, I'm not sure, he's put into a glass case, like the original one.
Mm-hmm.
Put into a glass case. That's Jim Henson's soul in that case.
That's freaking awesome.
Yeah,
I want to go to a museum and see that. Yeah. Oh, man.
Anyway, so, with that, just the idea that I think the message to this movie that kind of connects to those real life events, kind of permeating the soul of this movie, is that Jim Henson's philosophy, even at his funeral. Again, his funeral, folks can check it out. It's this moving thing.
Is there Big Bird there?
Yeah, Big Bird's the one who kind of gives the not address, but he gives the kind of
man.
He sings the "Not Easy Being Green" song. It's him. But seriously though, it's like it's a moving scene. There's like all the Muppeteers and everything just kind of taking a moment to honor their fallen friend who had this as this is his funeral. He wrote it in as his request of how he wanted to go. Like he wanted no sadness, no tears, just everyone celebrating. Everyone just kind of faces he knew, the faces he loved, their honor, and make it a show. That's what he wanted to do. Make people happy. The way Kermit the Frog said he wanted to in the Muppet movie. Just make people laugh. And
well said.
They were singing and dancing. That's what they did there. Anyway, so with that in mind, Jim Henson's big philosophy that he even wrote, he's always said, he wanted to leave the world better than when he left it. And I think that's kind of the message of this film. In addition, if you're going to have a story that embodies that, it's got to be with Scrooge. It's making the world a better place than how you left it. Scrooge, ultimately, that's his realization that, he can make the world a better place than how he was leaving it beforehand. And basically, he made the world a better place. He helped Tiny Tim. Tiny Tim would have died without Scrooge.
Like Michael Caine, in a way, is kind of like the embodiment of, how Michael Caine ends up at the end is sort of like how Jim Henson was his whole life in a way.
Exactly.
Like it was kind of like working towards that.
It's a man's discovery in becoming a humanitarian, which of course, if there's a definition of humanitarian, you're going to have one of humanitarian, like most human man in the world, it's got to be Jim Henson. Below that, it's got to be Kermit the Frog.
All right. Does that sum it up?
Well, no, there's like a few little things real quick.
Really quick.
Yeah, so let's see. So, again, movies, you can still have, this movie showed in wake of Jim Henson, because remember, this is a big thing to undertake, that you're going to have a movie, this is like a real trying step for the Henson company at this point. It's like, first of all, you're handing the keys over to the son after the father's bad. You gotta feel bad for, not bad, you gotta feel for Brian Henson. This is big shoes he's got to fill right now.
Right.
You're kind of giving this movie the go ahead, saying, let's press on with this. Let's show that we can still make films in the spirit of our
It's interesting because I feel like Brian Henson, like, he carried on the Muppet tradition, but I also feel like he brought something new to it at the same time.
And that's what his father would have wanted too. It's
exactly.
It's not just following the footsteps of his father; it's creating new footsteps.
Following the footsteps of it would have been like making another Muppets Take Manhattan, where it's just like, oh, let's see what frickin' Fozzie's up to, and let's see what Gonzo's up to. You know what I mean?
It's like following, not necessarily following the footsteps of following the path, but making your own footsteps. You know?
Exactly. Well said.
It's like you can never fill those footsteps again. You can't go in the same direction, or else you're just gonna eventually be sunk in those footsteps. You know, you just gotta go down the same path.
Mm-hmm.
And
I definitely think Brian Henson's films were, if not the strongest films in the Muppet catalog, definitely an essential stepping stone towards where we are now in the Muppets franchise.
You gotta remember what they wanted to communicate with this movie, and I think they successfully did. And that's the big thing with undertaking this movie, is that they wanted to prove, they had a lot to prove with this movie. They had to prove that going forward, even without Jim Henson, kind of our man who was our namesake here, we still have the charm, the magic, and the ability to communicate story the way we had beforehand. And we can still do that. And at this point, they still definitely could. And very effectively. Forget what I'm saying about Treasure Island. Treasure Island's it's very good. It's a good movie.
There's a lot of stuff I appreciate about Treasure Island.
Exactly.
Like an hour ago.
Forget what I'm saying. I'm saying overall, it's a good movie.
Oh man, I was all expecting to go into it and you like hating on it, and me being like, no, it's don't get me wrong. Really good.
I'm just being polite. I'm still gonna get
okay.
into it. But I'm just saying I have my problems with it. But it's like they're nitpicks compared. Like again, they're Diamond Philosophy. They're all good movies, but they're not bad.
And everything is better than the Muppets Wizard of Oz. I think
exactly. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying the only bad
there will never be a lower point than that.
I'm saying there's only two bad Muppet movies in existence, in my opinion. You got Muppet Wizard of Oz, and you have the Letters from Santa. Those are the two worst Muppet things I've ever seen. And even though I will see, there's like the Quentin Tarantino cameo is the only good part of the Wizard of Oz, but other than that,
I forgot about that.
Anyway, so the point is, they had the big stuff to communicate with this movie, and I think they successfully communicated that. And also, of course, the big air in the room, the big kind of question. You'll notice there's no Rolf in this movie because they were still a little uneasy about kind of stepping into that.
Are you sure?
Well, no, let me rephrase. I mean, he doesn't.
He doesn't talk, but he does show up at the.
That's what I mean.
On the piano, and I also like the fact that he does his classic Muppet Show thing of playing at the piano.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Smiling at the camera.
What I mean is like they didn't have him speak, and that was the thing they were all really holding off until the Muppets to do. They have him speak.
Okay. Oh, that's interesting.
That's the thing. To my knowledge, if I'm right, he doesn't speak or really appear as much as he has much of an appearance.
That would be something to track. Okay.
That's the thing, because if I'm right, I don't even think he appears from space. To be honest with you, if he does, he's like a resident of the house, and you don't see him in the movie.
Exactly. Right.
Right. If you see him, he's like a background character. Otherwise, he has no role, because that was like he had a big role. He was kind of jettisoning the Muppets to fame on the Jimmy Dean Show when he spoke.
And he had a big role in Takes Manhattan as well.
That's what I'm saying,
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Anyways, the last thing, I guess, the important thing is Steve Whitmire filling in. He did it wonderfully. So that was the thing I commend Steve Whitmire for. That was a big thing to undertake, and they sold him on that, taking a beloved character like that. And still, I think
much like Brian Henson, I think he kind of made it his own while still staying very true to what made the character so great to begin with.
Yeah, you gotta admit, though, in the grand scheme, he did great, but you could tell there's a difference in there. But sometimes he sells you on a lot better than others. But you know,
Well, I'm saying there's a difference in there, but I'm saying the difference is kind of like it's very subtle. But I feel like he's not trying to do a complete just beat by beat imitation of what Henson did. You know what
it's
I
like
mean?
he's continuing the. It's like that's what I'm saying. He's continuing the character. He's not trying to become
Exactly,
which is
right,
what you want to do.
right.
So I'm not knocking him for that. I'm just saying, like in some places, it's like a lot. He is Kermit the Frog. Other places, like it's other Kermit. It's fine, and not other Kermit. It's like it's Kermit.
It's Constantine.
No, it's you know what I'm saying.
Bad frog. Bad frog.
I'm saying it's Kermit, but it's not the Kermit. It's like not the Kermit we know in our hearts to be Kermit.
Yeah.
There are times. I'm just saying, and when I mean that, I don't mean the theatrical ones. I mean the other ones. That's what I mean. Like some of the other like non-things, you can kind of tell it's like not Jim Henson, Kermit the Frog. But that's nitpicking. No, he does a fine job though. He's fine.
Okay.
And he's great in other, like the new Muppet movies and this one. I thought that was my favorite Steve Whitmire Kermit performances.
Sure.
And now I think he's gotten. That's the thing. He had to get used to the role for a while. You got to bear that in mind, folks. And I think with that in mind, he's gotten so much better as Kermit. Now he can get in the Kermit like that. He's perfect. Mm-hmm. Okay, so last thing to say on there. So it's never the message of the film, like Henson Company, Brian Henson, and everyone wanted to communicate with this movie, is that it's never. This is the important lesson, and I think Jim Henson would agree with this philosophy too. It's that it's never too. This is a great message. It's never too late to reach a troubled person to help someone.
Sure.
I think that's the message. I think it's the Muppet lessons being exposited here. I think it's a great message.
Very Henson lesson for sure.
And that's the one to leave you with there. I think it's a great.
Okay. Well said. All right. So next time on Muppet Movie Month, we will be Monkey will be joining us, and this is kind of Monkey's own. Monkey. This is Monkey's own kind of personal movie that he grew up with. This is also the Muppet movie that I probably grew up with the most as well. So it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting. We're talking about Muppet Treasure Island. Oh yeah. Book your rat vacation getaway now. Okay. All right, and that's it. Until next time, when we connect once again with the lovers, the dreamers, and us.
Thankful heart.
Spirit, show me no more spirit.